So after the cup exploits in the week, there were plenty of changes for Wednesday. Still a 3-4-3. Beadle in goal, a back three of Palmer, Iorfa and Bernard. Midfield four of Valerie, Charles, Bannon and Johnson. And a front three of Windass, Smith and Jeddy Gassama. As for the visitors, Watford, a 4-1-4-1 come 4-1-2-3. Backman in goal, a back four of Porteous, Serralta, Pollock and Larouci. Duomo in the midfield with Barr, Ince, Kayembe and Chigve... Fucking how do you say that? Number 8 and Bayo up front. My apologies to the Watford player. I'm told it is Chivatsi, how you pronounce it. Although my mispronunciation of Watford player names is probably the least of our worries today, innit? Don't worry, there's not going to be any ranting and raving. First half. Wednesday actually have a positive start to the game. We get a free kick about 2 or 3 minutes in. Initial ball scrabbling about a bit, then it gets worked back out by Windass. Johnson puts a good ball in. Bernard gets up, really good contact on ball, heads it wide. Really probably should be putting us 1-0 up. But it was actually nice to see us look quite effective from a set piece. We got another one, probably 5 minutes after that. Valerie's brought down at right hand side. Terrific delivery in by Barry Bannon. Again, it's Bernard gets up, puts it just wide again. Although, to be fair, this time he's 2 or 3 of their players go to him, make it difficult for him. But again, we're looking at a little bit of a threat from set pieces, which is a bonus after we've looked so lacklustre all season with that. And overall, it's a positive start to the game. We're using the ball quite well. I won't say Watford were passive, but they weren't really getting stuck right into us. They were playing a sort of 4-1-4-1 when they'd not got possession. And other than trying to find odd, sort of long ball over for that Bayo to try and run onto, they didn't really test us. Probably the first half an hour or so, and Wednesday looked quite comfortable. I think I can only remember one sort of chance. Probably about 20 odd minutes. It was a ball over. Bayo got onto sort of right hand side of our box, head up, clipped a little ball to back stick, and it was their left full back who'd got up. Is it Larouci? He'd got up. Terrible miss, actually, terrible strike. He got time. He should have really probably tested Beadle, blazed it into Cop. But that was really their only moment. I thought Wednesday had got a level of comfort about him. From about 25 minutes or so, the needle started levelling up a bit. Watford had a little bit of a spell, a possession of ball, having a few touches that they'd not really had because Wednesday had most of it. But again, I didn't think they particularly tested us, even though they were having a little bit more at ball. They didn't really test us. And then they get a free kick down the right hand side. Wednesday fall asleep. It's a quick one. And then their player gets into an area where nobody wants to make a tackle, so Gassama goes across, but he can't really chuck himself in there, so he's having to sort of like that. Then Bannon goes across, similar situation, don't want to chuck himself in, don't want to bring him down and give a penalty away. Although considering second half, that would have been at least at Woodies, wouldn't it? Kid gets to the byline, cuts it back, and again we're asleep. Porteous has got in front of his man, taps it home, which is frustrating because he's a player that I don't really like. I always think he's a player you can get sent off, loses his head a bit, but he taps it home, which has frustrated me already. And I won't say it was against the run of play, they'd had a little 5-minute spell probably just before the goal. But overall, I thought it was an half that Wednesday easily had the better of. It was a good reaction to goal. We got back in game probably 2 minutes later. Good link play with Gassama and Johnson down left hand side. Johnson cuts it back. Nice finish by Smith. When I first saw it, actually, I thought it hit his shin. I wasn't sure what happened, but second viewing it is a good finish. But as he cuts it back, Windass has made a run in from right hand side. And I think the keeper sees him at the corner of his eye, and I think he thinks Johnson's cutback is going to go to Windass, so he starts sort of going across. And then it comes to Smith on near stick, and I think that completely wrong foots keeper. But 1-1, like I said, frustrating in the sense that I thought we had most of the ball, didn't take our opportunities. They had probably a 5-6 minute spelling game and scored during their best spell. And then after that, Wednesday got back on bike. We equalised. And then we had another couple of good breaks. There were a lovely bit of play. Windass nicked ball, got it out to Marv, back in. Windass let it run through to Smith, who played a ball around corner. Their keeper was smart off his line, Backman. Brave save at Windass's feet. Another little give and go with, I think it were Bannon and Johnson. Purchase has just put his arm up, clothesline Marv. It's a clear bloody foul. Don't get it. And then, again, at end of half, Johnson bursting run, that left-hand side. A clear foul on him. I couldn't tell if it were in box or outside box. I think it might have been just outside. But whether it were in box or out of box, it's a clear and blatant, free kick or whatever it is. It's a clear and blatant foul. Ref sort of plays an advantage there, but there's no advantage. He goes to their lad, who then Gassama nudges slightly and he goes down and he gets free kick. So that would annoy him. Because referees frustrated me today. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming this defeat on referee by any means. That was entirely on Wednesday. However, for the first 10-15 minutes, I thought, he's alright. He's letting game flow and he's trying to... And suddenly, every time there's a touch, it's whistle. I mean, he's given 30-odd free kicks today. And there were free kicks to both sides, don't get me wrong. But if you ask me genuinely of a game, I would say I've probably seen about 12 fouls where I'd be like, yeah, that's a foul. He's given 30-odd. And like I said, it's a shame because I thought he started the game quite well and then he just went crackers. But like I said, not pinning this on him by any means. But yeah, so Wednesday, I'd say we had half an hour at game. They had 5 minutes. Then it was again up to break, And I'm getting a cup of tea, talking to my dad, and I said, I think we're on top here, I think it's here for taking for us. And he said, same thing, get an early goal second half, that should be that. And I don't think anything could have prepared anybody for that second half. Because on first half showing, I don't think anybody in the world, I don't think the greatest pundit in the world would have seen what was about to happen. As soon as we came out for the second half, you knew there was a flatness. The atmosphere was flat as well, by the way, I must say that, but there was a flatness to play, and it reminded me, the players looked like, on Christmas Day, you're eating all snap, you're a bit full, and you probably had a bit of a drink, and then people, do you want another roasty? You're like, oh no, I better not, I'll go on then, and then I'll have another Yorkshire, and then you go and slump on the settee, and you're just like, ugh. And you get that sort of lethargy on you, and you need a piss, but you can't even be asked to go to the bog. That's what we looked like second half. Post-Christmas dinner energy. It really were sloppy from first minute. Half asleep. I mean, they take lead again. Penalty. Is it? Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's a clear handball. I don't think he's meant it. I don't think it's deliberate. He's chucked himself at it to try and get a sort of diving header out of the box. Got it wrong, and he's, it is a penalty. It's tucked away by their lad. It's 2-1, but you knew with the way they were playing that it would amount to climb. Now, usually in a game, you're a goal behind. I would say the same thing. A little bit of pressure, and they can start wobbling. When you've got something to defend, you can find yourself dropping off, and it's up to you to go and take it to them then. But I knew from that 2-1 that we were in big trouble. 5 minutes later, it were massive trouble because we're behind even further. It's another penalty. I mean, we hadn't had a penalty in a calendar year. They've had 2 in, 5-6 minutes. It comes from us being loose again in midfield, which is something I'll come to later. Coming together in box, Big Dom and their lad. Is it a penalty? Well, obviously it's a penalty because he's bleeding give it, hasn't he? But I thought it was harsh. I thought they sort of hit each other, to be honest with you. I think that's a bit of an harsh one. They swapped the penalty takers over, with probably quite smart thinking, because he's already faced him once. Bale steps up, straight down middle. Beadle goes, diving off to the right. He puts it straight down middle. It's 3-1. And I'm sad to say, you knew at 3-1 that were that. Because we didn't look anywhere near it. We didn't really carve any opportunity of note up till about 60-65 minutes when Barry Bannon burst into a spaced out left-hand side and put a ball in for Smithy. And that stood out, not only because it was our first chance that we created in the second half, it stood out because Barry Bannon ran into that spaced out left-hand flank. And that was one thing that really disappointed me today. And I'm saying today, it disappointed me first half against Brentford. I thought we defended really well against Brentford that first half, but I was really disappointed with our lack of movement up top. But it was same against Portsmouth first half. It was same against Swansea first half, and today it's been flipped, and it was second half against Watford. So clogged up. Now, I don't know if it's patterns of play that they work on and that it's what the coach wants. And I understand the principle that whoever's got the ball, he needs options, makes it available to him. But if somebody's got ball and you run towards him, and then your mate runs towards him, and then somebody comes from in front and says, yeah, I'll have it to feet, and 3 of you converge on your man with ball, all 3 of you are bringing your markers in with you. And it's just making a crowd scene. And that happened time and time again. Now, you've got to give Watford a little bit of credit for that because obviously, as I said, it was like a 4-1-2-3 when they were attacking, but as soon as they lost it, it was like a 4-1-4-1. And you've got to give them credit because they clogged middle of park up, which you would do, away from home, and I understand that. And like I said, you've got to give them credit for that. But if the opposition are trying to crowd midfield and make things hard for you, then it's up to you to try and create the space by opening pitch up and making it bigger. And I just thought too many times we clogged it up ourselves. It's sort of self-inflicted. And it's highlighted by their lad. The first half, I thought Wednesday were on top, and I didn't think they really threatened Watford. But when they did have the ball, they were very clear in trying to get that Bale away. And I talked about this against Brentford, and okay, we can talk about that a much higher class and higher budgets and whatever, and their centre forward. But their centre forward, Brentford, he weren't bothered about having ball. He was not bothered about, yes, come out, dropping in and I'll have a little touch and this. He weren't bothered about, yes, I'll try and turn and have a run, a mazy run. All he did was runs behind. I'm going there, find me. And that's part of that is trust of your midfield players that they're going to find you if you make that run. But that Bale in first half, he probably made 7 or 8, I would say, where he tried to make a run in behind without the ball and hoping that somebody would find him with a diagonal or a little clip over the top. Now, I'm not going to blame Michael Smith for not making them sort of runs. He's not that sort of player. But I would expect other players to make that sort of. I would expect Gisama to make that sort of run. Windass made 1 or 2 runs, but a lot of the time we were clogged, and when they were trying to spread it and open up, we then weren't finding them. The passing was so sloppy, and the one that I hate the most is the pass behind the man. The pass behind the man, it kills me. I'll just give you another example. There's something else today that, and again, it's about space. It's about creating space, and whether that's a centre forward just trying to get behind that opposition back line, or whether you're in midfield or whatever it is. But there was a stage in second half, about 15 minutes from end. One of our players had got ball. He looks up. He's got one of our lads here. One of their lads is here. He's blocking that pass. So he thinks, well, I can't make that. So he turns and he goes that way. But as he starts turning to look that way, their lad sees what he's doing. He thinks, oh, I'll go and try and cut out whatever's happening over there. But as he turned that way, our option went with him. We still can't pass it to him. So then he turns back that way, and their lad starts coming back across, cutting that out, and he comes back with him again. Why? But if I'm looking at you there and there's a man in way, and then I turn there and their man starts running off there, well, fucking stay here, and then I can pass it to you. If you've got a marker who's one of them busy bastards who's charging about but not really paying attention to what he's doing, and he runs off and leaves you alone, well, don't run with him. Stay where you are. That annoyed me. I always played in midfield to a much lower level, 1,000,000 miles lower than what our lads are. 1,000,000 miles. Not fit to lace the boots in terms of what they can do. But whatever level you're at, you can find space if you're aware of what's happening around you. If my marker runs off, I'll stand still. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. You can create space by, I'll just stay here. And so in a way, I can't fault them. I can't say, oh, well, they haven't worked hard. Because that's constant movement, trying to find that spot. But sometimes stand still. Okay, so I'm delaying from talking about their goals, aren't I? Lowe and Valentin come on. Lowe, I thought was an understandable. So Valentin came on for Charles. So Valerie dropped into sort of right centre-back position. Palmer went into midfield. And I've got no problem with Liam Palmer moving into midfield. I'm not sure why it was at the expense of Charles. I thought we'd lost midfield. And if Liam Palmer was going to be put in there, I genuinely thought it would be with Bannon and Charles rather than in place of one of them. So unless Charles had got a knock... Now listen, he's not had a great game, young lad. But who did? So unless he'd got a knock, I couldn't understand that. So we've made these substitutions, moved things around a bit, but it's still the same. It's still sort of 3-4-3, and still... I didn't see it as solving a problem, particularly. No. Yeah, Bale scores. Again, it's a frustrating one. But there's 9 Wednesday players in and around our 18-yard box. Flipped over. It's a simple goal. It's a simple goal for him. There's no real pressure on ball. To have that number of players and for their lad to be still picked out. Like I said, post-Christmas dinner, energy. Everyone's a bit... and from then on in, it was like a total capitulation. I think it must have been like the football equivalent of that bloody submarine that went down with PlayStation controller. Just gone. Implosion. We got a goal back. Valentin, nice little move, probably first decent one at half. Clipped into the back stick. Lowe, who, as I said, he's an intelligent player. He gets it left side, flips it in. Valentin does well to keep it down, but obviously nobody's too excited about it. And like I said, at that score, sometimes you think, oh, it might wobble them a bit, but it, they straight at the other end, and then probably the most frustrating goal, because it's so simple, wide open, and I've just talked probably at too much length about people creating space, and players being prepared to run without the ball. Now, I don't know if that's an instruction. Nobody's in training, you'll work on little passages of player and things that you want, and when he goes here, you'll go here, and blah, blah, blah. But while all our players are always running towards man who's in possession at ball, as I said, that Bayo all afternoon has made runs away from ball. And this goal just sums it up. It's just a very simple ball sort of through, dash, over, and he's just running. It's just running. It's really simple football. And I don't want to take out away from Watford, because, they've had a really tough time away from home. They lost 5 out of 7. And, they've travelled up, well paid. It's a long trek, and I'm sure their fans are buzzing. They've come away from home, probably not expecting much, and gone home with 6 goals. They'll be delighted with performance. But I didn't think they were that good. I really didn't. I genuinely thought it were Wednesday's levels that were low. And sometimes you'll get a spanking. Sometimes you'll go to match and you'll get turned over, and you'll come out and you'll be saying, I tell you what, they're a side, them. They are a side. And I've seen a lot of spankings. I've seen some of the best players that have ever graced Hillsborough turf get turned over and take a right spanking. But usually when opposition were really on it, I don't think Watford have had to be on it that much today. I think we've gifted them. I think that's what annoys me most is, apart from the last goal, I'd say that's the only goal they've really had to earn by really a passage of really good play. The others have been far too it. They've been gifts. The 2 penalties, the quick free kick in first half with nobody marking lad in box, the simple ball off at top. Gifts. Like I said, the last goal is, they've worked for that. I think it's that lad, is it Chavadze? Well, lovely player he is, by the way. On that left-hand side with licence to come and drift inside and do what he wants. A lovely footballer, him. If he played for us, I'd have him in middle of the park. I really liked him. But yeah, gifts. And a lot of it basic. And like I said, I don't know how much of it is... We kept making the same mistake. We were trying to pass through gaps that weren't really there. We were under it in everything. We're not creating space. We weren't making pitch big. People are getting drawn towards ball like schoolboys, and then crowding our own scenes up. But equally then when we're defending, people are getting drawn to the ball. The goal when he's made his run, we're playing an highlight. I've got no problem with an highlight. I quite like an highlight. Yeah, squeeze up there, get ratting in amongst them. But you can only play a high line if there's pressure on their lad who's in possession of ball. If he's got ball and somebody's on him, yes, everybody, let's get up. If he, takes a touch and nudges it out and has a look, and there's nobody on him, you can't suddenly all squeeze up to halfway line and he's got all day to pick a pass. Oh, nice, I'll have that one. As soon as he's got that ball and you're like, well, Christ, nobody's going to close him down. You're like, well, let's just drop off a yard in and be aware of runners. It's a concerning performance, and like I said, I've seen us take a dicking plenty of times, and usually against a decent side. I don't think Watford's particularly had to work hard for it today, but what concerns me more is the performance, because sometimes you can even play well and be on end of a bad result, and you can come out at ground, you could have lost 4-1 or whatever, and you can come out at ground and going, it weren't a 4-1 game now. God, it weren't a 4-1. You know, that scoreline doesn't tell full story at game. But the performance of that second half was really alarming. Now, we've got a game against Norwich in week and a chance to, you know, put things right. But make no bones about it, and it's the shadow that's in all of our minds is next Sunday. Now, because of pride and because of, you know, banter and fucking whatever else, a lot of people won't accept that. And they won't probably accept what I'm going to say. But I'm not one for banter anyway. If we perform like we played second half today, on Sunday, the fucking ham sandwich down there will be all over it. He will be all over it. That, against them, is an unthinkable level of performance. And that is really concerning. Like I say, I know we've got a game in between then, a chance to get back on track. And I'll tell you what, that game against Norwich now, I don't want to say it's a massive game in terms of, we desperately need points and this, points would be great. But I'm not bothered. I'm not even bothered about that. You know, if we lost 1-0 but we put a really good performance in, I'd be happy. Because that's what I want to see. I want to see a decent performance. And if we play well and lose and we're unlucky and we hit posts and whatever else and we have shots and their keeper as a blinder, whatever. But I want to see a level of performance, and that second half was a million miles away. A million miles away. And I don't know what brought it on. Because genuinely, the first half, I never felt we were under any particular pressure. They scored in their little 5 minutes. I never saw that coming. I think that's what concerns me. I never saw that coming at break. But as soon as second half kicked off, you just looked and went, this ain't right. This ain't right. This, you know, lethargic, slow, sloppy passing, passes behind man, nobody making bursts into space. Like I said, that's why it stood out. There was 65 minutes, that probably only decent opportunity we had in second half apart from our goal, was Barry Bannon just bust his bollocks into space down the corner flag and Marv found him. Moore's got to do that. More players have got to be making them runs and stretching teams and say, I'm going out here. I might not even get ball, but I might create space for somebody else. There weren't enough of that. Like I said, I don't know if that's a coaching thing or whatever, or whether it's just players not thinking enough. But we need to see a lot more of that. A lot more of that. Yeah, no ranting and raving, but that is a concern. And I know there'll be some people will be screaming mad from rooftops, and then there'll be other people saying, oh, don't worry about it, it happens. But I do find it concerning. And we've brought it's a good performance against Brentford, but we've brought in players for that game that you would consider probably your second string, if you're being honest about it. Today we've brought in, the players who you would say, yeah, this is our best, or approaching our best 11. That's an unacceptable level, that second half. It really is. It's concerning. It's really concerning.